Listen, stupid donkey, I want to make it very, very clear that I had nothing to do with being late. So once you get Wes starting to talk, he just goes and goes. Doesn't
I
matter.
don't.
Doesn't matter if it's 5:59 or 6 p.m. or 6:01 p.m. or 6:02 p.m.
People know the score here, Brian. First of all, they know when I start, I don't stop.
Yeah.
Second of all, they know I have no concept of what time it is. I don't even have a watch, bro.
That's phenomenal, man. I absolutely love it. I don't know if you could tell by the thumbnail, Wes, but PSVR2 is getting closer. It's only 27 days away. This is absolutely insane, man. I can't believe we're almost there.
It's weird, right? I mean, it's weird. I look back over the last week or two at some of the our older headlines and content from my channel and your channels and everybody's channels. We've been talking about this and waiting on it for so long. I almost don't believe that it's going to happen. Like, the world's going to blow up in the next 3 weeks. I'm pretty confident.
You have a more positive outlook than I do. Like, you're like the whole world's going to end. I'm just like, a bus is going to hit me. Someone's going to murder me. Like there's some assassin out there with a red dot on my neck right now. I mean, I'm very much more personal with my doomsday theory, but yeah, okay. At least we're both thinking the same way. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're not making it.
We're not going to make it. It's been a fun ride, Wes. Let's start the show.
Yeah. Let's go.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, West Day, and Two Eyes Friday right here on PSVR Without Parole on YouTube. 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it live for your viewing pleasure. Holy crap, I just realized it's like a sun is casting its rays on me, and it only looks strange because I looked over and you look like, Wes, me. Like you're sitting in darkness, as I always am. And over here, I've got like spotlights on me, just like floodlights, casting their rays right into my eyeballs. We do it live right here on YouTube for your viewing pleasure, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do it podcast services of your choice after the fact for your oral pleasure. Yeah, that joke's getting less funny by the day. My name is Bryan Palpinichon right here, PSVR Without Parole, and the gentleman over here to my right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. What's happening, Wes?
What's up, Brian? Just starting to slide into another Wednesday and get my head on straight with this VR talk, man.
I was starting to drink coffee. I thought you had more to say than that. I thought it was my turn.
Well, I said it all before we went live, so
it's true.
Bye, everybody.
What's going on your channel, man? Is there now that the end of the year stuff is sort of out of the way? You guys picking steam back up? More regular content? What's happening?
Yeah. We are getting back into the swing of things. We started back on our numbered episodes this past week. Had an amazing episode with amazing turnout, actually. Blown away, to be quite honest. All the people showed up on Sunday. We recapped CES. We talked a little bit about the new launch titles that Sony revealed last week. And we're getting back into Strangers in the Night. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Primal Hunt, which is a new Quest release.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the Bendy and the Ink Machine VR mod. We're going to be talking about that. And again, last call for all of you cats out there that want to enter the 2022 show giveaway. We're going to leave that up for about another day. So lots of goodies to give away for PSN and other platforms as well. But you got to get your entries in there within the next 24 hours because we got to select winners.
Man, Primal Hunt looks fun, man. This is the final approach or final assault, guys, right?
You know, I don't know. I didn't know anything about this game, to be honest. This was kind of dropped in my lap. I've been so focused on PSVR2, which, by the way, is the greatest gaming headset of all time, that I don't even pay attention to that lowly Quest 2 garbage.
Whoa.
Like, yeah. I'm sorry. I have to be polarizing today. My Discord kind of set the tone, so we have to throw shade on everyone who loves Quest 2. You all suck.
Wow. I don't even know what to say except for thank you, everybody, over on my Discord for being awesome because today made me realize the second I step out of my little bubble, which is obviously my comfort zone. It's where I hang out, I live, I breathe on Discord, I hang out in voice chat. Super positive, man. Super positive all the time. We love everybody else's channel. We like it. It's a very positive group. They're all very cool cats. I step outside the bubble and it's like death to Without Parole. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, what did I do, man? I like video games. I'm so sorry for liking video games. I'll never do it again.
It's funny, man, because like they moved the doomsday clock to 90 seconds like yesterday or the day before. And I would go to my Discord and we have full blown console wars going in my general chat. But everybody keeping it, within the rules, right? Nobody throwing name calling or anything like that. So, you can't really do anything about it but weigh in. But yeah, you're right, man. It's been an interesting day for sure.
Man, we got some great tips in the chat. We got some great cats in the chat. Thank you everybody for hanging out today. This is awesome. Wes, thank you for being here. Guys, if you don't already subscribe to Wes over at Virtual Strangers, where he and his friends talk about all headsets. They're headset agnostic. Is that the correct phrasing?
Agnostic. Right. We are platform agnostic. I thought this was something that I coined, but I've seen other people using it in the last few months, so maybe not.
Well, maybe
I'm just a trendsetter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just wait until everybody starts saying VRAF, man. And be like, Bryan, who? Start off the tip train with Ashley Delaney and the £5 says, do you think Sony will release any PSVR games day one through PlayStation Plus sub-tiers? I'm thinking Kayak comes to mind, or Premium at launch. Oh, I'm sorry, comes to Extra or Premium at launch. Kayak comes to Extra or Premium. What do you think, Wes? Do you think that Sony's going to utilize their tiers of PlayStation Plus to maybe give away a PlayStation VR game or two?
It's possible. I mean, it's kind of weird with the tiers now because there's no real precedent. This is all very new. But I know when they were promoting PlayStation 5 as their next platform, they were giving out PS5 games day and date on release with just the regular PS Plus that everyone subscribes to. So it's certainly a possibility to promote VR2 that at the very least they could give us some of these Gen 1 games that are being updated for Gen 2 as a monthly release. We still get a PS5 game every month. Even with the limited library that it has, we still get a PS5 game every month with the quote unquote free subscription that we pay like $50 a year for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's certainly possible, but again, all this tiered thing is so new, it's kind of difficult to know where they're going with it.
Sure. I think it would be, to Ashley's point, I think it would be difficult to put Kayak there, although I don't know, man, maybe I'm misremembering. Is Kayak available for pre-order already? Because I would say any game that you could already put money down on is sort of out of the question, right? A lot of games you can wishlist, a lot of games you can pre-order, a lot of games have plus discounts. I would say anything that you can already put your money down on is out of the question for any kind of plus title, because I think they would want to do their best to not make people feel like they were totally screwed before a game came out, right? Especially if you already pay for the plus subscription, it's like they don't want to take your money and then sure, I mean, they're a big corporation. They want to take your money as many times as you'll give it to them. But it just feels kind of gross to do it that way. My bet, which I think I've probably said multiple times here on Gamescast, is that what we'll see as far as Plus goes, at least for a little while, it will be Sony giving away things like Astrobot and Blood and Truth in the Wipeout Omega collection and the Persistence, all upgraded to take full advantage of PSVR2. Those will be their upgrades because they haven't talked about those games yet. And I feel like there's got to be a reason they haven't talked about them. Just like on the PlayStation 5 when we get the Plus collection, which were all a bunch of amazing AAA PS4 games, I feel like they're going to do the same thing for PSVR2. They'll give you the PSVR2 Plus collection. I think it'd be a great way to get in. Be like, oh, don't worry about the $550 price tag. Yes, it's expensive, but look, we're giving you a handful of our best games for free. Definitely makes you feel better about spending that much money.
I was sitting here trying to think what would be the perfect game for them to give away that would be, even though maybe it's a PS4 title or PSVR1 title that has a next-gen upgrade, something that people have in their library, something that people would want to experience in VR and might cause them to kind of cross the line and go ahead and pick up the headset that they were already thinking about buying. And then you mentioned it, the Persistence. Mm-hmm. That would be absolutely perfect because this is a game a lot of flat players are going to have. It's a studio they recently picked up, and yeah, if they enhance that with some motion controllers, it's going to be like a whole new game. Um,
Literally.
yeah, I hope that comes to pass. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat, with the $2 tips, says Thrustmaster T248 shipped today. I'm so excited for PSVR2.
Oh, somebody got a wheel. Did you order your wheel yet, Brian?
Dude, my wheel is over here on the floor next to me, still in the box, because I don't want to take it out until my rig gets here, because dude, there's so little space in my apartment that like I just can't have a wheel sitting out before the rig gets here. Once the rig gets here, I'll build the rig, and then I'll put the stuff into the rig. They ship the rig in 2 boxes because it comes with an actual like car seat type thing. And so I think the car seat showed up, and then the rig stuff shows up in another day. I think maybe tomorrow or the next day, something like that.
Right. Which one did you get?
Which wheel?
Yeah,
G29 Logitech.
G29. All right, cool, man. That's awesome. I can't wait. Gran Turismo just showed up for me a few days ago, so I'm about to get started on that whole thing.
Nice. Yeah, dude, get your license test done. I got a license test done in like, I don't know, the first 10 menus or so. And then I was like, okay, this feels like enough work. I've put in enough work, and I've got enough cars so that like day one, when PSVR2 gets here, I'll be able to show off some pretty cool races. I think it'll be great.
You think you're going to play it day one? I mean, when you think about everything that comes out and everything you're going to want to play, you think you'll make it in the Gran Turismo on day one?
Well, I mean, I'll have Gran Turismo already day one, like I feel so, I'm definitely not the type of person that's like, I'm not going to review a game if the developer doesn't send me a review key. I'm like, I've paid so much money for games over the years that like I have zero desire to play, only to review them for the channel. That's just kind of how I operate. But the fact is that there are so many PSVR 2 games that'll be here at launch. Like, so outside of the big ones, like unless I get a review headset, there's no reason to be like just buying everything right now, right? It's like I can give developers plenty of time to send me keys because there's only so much you can cover every single day. So for some of the smaller titles, man, we'll just have to wait. And I think Gran Turismo is probably top 5, right? Gran Turismo, Horizon, Village. I was gonna say Switchback, but that luckily got delayed.
Yeah, Village is going to be the one, man. Having played Horizon, having played the Village mod, Village is going to be the game that everybody's just like blown away by when the thing launches, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Village because you've played the VR mod already, so I can't wait to see. We've already heard Ian Higton's thoughts on it, but I don't trust anybody more than I trust my own Wes here. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts, your comparisons.
I can't wait to play it. And I'm amazingly or surprisingly, I'm more I'm a lot more excited for games like Rez and Thumper and Tetris Effect than I am a lot of what was already announced. So a lot of people kind of blew off this, blog post from last week. I got really excited with it when I found out about all these upgrades, $10 upcharge or not. I'm super excited to play those games with next gen features.
Yeah, I got all up in arms about $10 upcharges because I'm always on the side of the consumer, and when I see certain studios charging when everyone else has shown that there's absolutely no need for it, I come to the defense of our game cats. But for me personally, $10 to play an up-res plus with haptics in the headset and everything else, I'll throw money at them all day, every day.
People were already calling that game a religious experience. Quote, a lot of people calling it a religious experience. Imagine now with all of the extra stuff and having the vibration in your face, and it's going to be great.
Alakazam with the $20 tip says, I love the show and Jesus Christ, I can't read. I love the show and content. Keep up the good work. I canceled my pre-order and then re-pre-ordered last week. I'm surprised there's still stock, but I guess that's a good thing. I pre-ordered the charging stand from Amazon. Yeah, there's a pretty cool stand on Amazon that went up. Here, you know what? Let me bring this up. Actually, I think I've got the actual website here of the stand itself. This is the collectivemindsstore.com. PSVR2.com, Wes. So if you want to head over there and see what we're looking at.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay,
And
excellent.
this is very enticing to someone like me, because I did go in earlier today on my Sony account,
Mm-hmm.
and the charging stand that I ordered is a separate order from the headset.
So you can cancel it without worrying about canceling the headset accidentally.
Yeah, somebody mentioned to me last week that you should just go cancel it, and I'm like, I'm not even taking that chance. Hitting the cancel button, no way am I doing that. And I just happened to get in there today just because I was curious about when it's going to hit my credit card, and I noticed that they literally did a separate order. It has its own number, everything. So if you don't want that $50,
is it
controller
50
charger,
or is it 40?
Yeah, I'm pretty well.
Either way, it's expensive.
Let me look. Yeah, it's way more expensive than this one.
And this one has a stand for the headset. You have a place to put it, and it actually kind of hides the controllers. It looks very, very compact. I think I really like this. I may do the same thing. I might have to pick this up as well. I
mean, even if you don't use the headset stand, just having a controller charger that's $10 or $20 less is, I mean, that's something, right?
It is something. I always stay away from third party unless I have to get something third party. Like in general, if Sony has something and a third party has something, I'll buy the Sony branded one, even if it's a couple dollars more. But in this case, the fact that it holds the headset and it's cheaper, that's a 1-2 punch for as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, look, Brian, we can chat with a live agent now. We should talk to them and interview them for the show.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
is this good? Does it suck?
Have you tried it yourself? Because I feel like it's so weird, right? Because I've heard, it's kind of difficult to kind of get your hands on a PlayStation VR2 right now. If you want to play one, you have to go to a Sony office. It's not like they're just, as far as I know, they're not even sending them out to anybody yet for review. And so you've got these third parties that are making competing charging stations. I'm like,
they must have it, right?
I mean, they must, right? But I kind of don't trust it. I'm like, did you just kind of guess the specs? Did you go to CES and take a mold of it while you were playing without Steve noticing that you were taking the mold?
Beware, people. Beware. We need to learn more about this, Brian, and how it works, because I bet you I know how this is going to work, and it might not be the best thing for your controllers. The first party ones, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I'm wrong about a lot of things, admittedly. I think that the way that the first party stand is going to work is it's going to give you these little magnetic contacts that slide into your USB port, and then you just sit it down and they make contact, and that's how they charge. Sometimes with this third party stuff, that's not how it works. They literally have USB ports sticking out of the thing that you have to slide your controllers down onto, and that is very bad for your port. It puts a lot of wear and tear on your ports and will tear up your controllers. So we need to find out if that's what this is, because if it is, I'm not interested.
I'm gonna zoom in on some of these other pictures here and see if we can't get an answer.
Okay, you can't see it from there.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to chat with the live agent now.
Chat with the live agent now. We should totally do that, except we have a show to do and a lot more tips to take care of. Okay. So let's keep it moving, Wes. The next tip comes to us from AJ at PSVR Underground. $2 tip. He says, I got my first PSVR2 review key today. Wes, did you also get your first PSVR2 review key today?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't been watching my email. What did we get? Are we allowed to say?
Let's not say. I don't know if that's. I generally.
We'll talk about it after.
I err on the side of caution, but they sent me 5 of them. So if you need them, I got them. No worries.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, but this is not a topic for the show. We'll talk after.
The cats love inside baseball.
No, I just, typically with my guys, when we're doing quest games, we organize so that we're not all sending out review key requests to the same people. You'll take this game, I'll take this one, and we'll just kind of all meet in the middle. I don't know if you wanted to organize like that.
Yeah, we'll absolutely organize. I want to make sure we're not just barraging them with emails from the same
Right.
Yeah. Just a clarification, 3A deer, 3-ader in the chat says, it's not true. The manufacturer of this charging station has revealed a trailer for it. They show it with magnetic ports. Excellent.
Boom. Go ahead.
Good.
Get your pre-orders in now.
Good. We have the cats in the chat on top of it, man. Love when they keep us honest. Moving along. Old School Game Cat with the 4.5 quid says, sorry, I can't afford much more, but every little bit helps. Dude, Old School Game Cat, every little bit does help. And I never want to take money from people who need it more than I do. So appreciate your generosity, but please, everybody, I hope you're all thinking of yourself first. I think that's the most important thing here. Super Nintendo Chalmers with a $5 tip, love the name, says, how silly does it look when YouTubers stream from Quest 2? It looks like Rec Room, but jankier. Have they improved that, Wes? I feel like there's been improvements in Quest streaming over the years.
They've made it easier before to. So, all right. So before, when you would stream directly from the headset, it was weird how you would have to have like a Chromecast or something to cast to, and it was always square video, like from one eye, and you couldn't really control the resolution, the aspect ratio, the frame rate, the bit rate, things like this. To control that stuff, you would have to side load settings in from SideQuest or another like application like that. It was a bunch of bullshit to go through, and the reason why I mainly avoided it. It's still not great. But at the least now they have included those settings inside the headset, so you don't have to side load the settings anymore.
Good.
But you've got about 5 different options of how you want to go about it, and none of them are perfect. They all have different bullshit. Like, there's a really good option. There's a program you can buy on Windows Store that's like AirBridge or something like that.
Yeah.
And it works really well for the video, but for whatever reason, casting with the Quest, whether you're casting to a Chromecast or using the AirBridge or whatever, it puts your audio out of sync by like a second and a half. So you have to adjust for that in OBS, and sometimes it changes when the bitrate changes. So again, it's still a bunch of bullshit, and I can certainly see why there would be a bunch of subpar content out there from people who are less technically inclined and don't know how to deal with the issues.
Sure. And I think that's so important for VR as a whole, as the whole medium. You need to make sure that you can stream from the headset or stream from the console or whatever PC as easy as possible, because, I mean, it's just free marketing. And I think that's, I do think that most video game developers and manufacturers and publishers and whatever, they've all been able to pull back considerably when it comes to marketing, because marketing's expensive. TV ads are expensive. Even space on the internet is expensive. And so doing things like E3, insanely expensive. And I think they've been able to pull back considerably because of influencers and YouTubes, and then people just, people who are just doing it for fun and just deciding to stream something because they want to stream it. And then their friends watch and they go, this is cool. And then their friends buy it. So it's super important that friction needs to be as low as possible. We talk about friction when it comes to VR headsets all the time. Friction when it comes to streaming needs to be as easy as pushing the share button. Sony's made it pretty damn easy over the years. So hopefully,
and I need my chat in the headset, and I don't just mean one line at a time.
Yep.
I need to have it logged so that I can take a break every 5 minutes and see what's going on with my viewers, because that was a big deterrent for me streaming PSVR games later in the life cycle. Mm-hmm. Is that every time I did, I had to have my cell phone in my lap and kind of peeking out at it.
Yeah, I will say, if there was one thing I wished for PSVR2 streaming other than 1080-60, right, which the PSVR 1 didn't have, it was like 720, this fisheye lens, 30 FPS, absolutely not indicative of what you're seeing in the headset. And then you're just getting the one line presented to you from the chat at a time. And when you're doing something like Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, and you have 500 people watching, and and everybody's leaving a comment, you quickly become 45 minutes backed up on the chat when it's only one line at a time. Wes, I would kill for the ability in PSVR 2 when you're streaming just to hang a YouTube chat window there off to the side and be able to move it like it's in the game. Like, if they can give us that, dude, I'll be a happy fucking streamer. That is for sure.
I have faith. They have the ability to do this, Brian. They need to talk to someone so that they can know this is what people want.
Yeah. Belramio the Game Cat with the €6 says, could apologize for being late, but I was busy playing Forspoken, so that's an A+ excuse. Excellent. Forspoken, mixed reviews. Doesn't look like it's my kind of game anyway, but glad you're enjoying it, Bell. It's good stuff. Wild Hour the Game Cat with the Australian $10 tip says, Happy Invasion / Australia Day, Aussie Game Cats, Australian, and everyone else. 27 more days. Happy Invasion / Australia Day. Now, there's a holiday I don't know anything about. Do you know anything about Australian holidays? No?
I have no idea.
All right. Then we move on, but we thank you, Wild Hour. Professor Lilith with the $5 tip says, this survey for this week's Sunday multiplayer is now posted in the Discord. Choose Alvo, Corix, or No Man's Sky. Guys, if you don't know, Sunday multiplayer, it's the coolest place to play your PSVR 1 games. It's one of the only places to play your PSVR 1 games, in all fairness. If you've got some games that have dead lobbies, make sure you join our Discord and hang out with Professor Lilith and the Cats, because every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, they play a PSVR game that probably has no one playing it. So the vote is up. Vote between Alvo, Corix, or No Man's Sky. Thank you, Professor Lilith. We love you. Thank you for continually taking care of that. Scott Zilla with the $5 tip says, do you have a stand to put your PSVR2? Do you have a stand to your PSVR2? And can you guys talk about VR sickness?
I'll talk a little bit about VR sickness because this is something I have quite a lot of experience about, and something that has been brought up at least once a month the whole time I've been doing content on YouTube. Something people still worry about because it was so overblown, I think, in kind of the media circles, and kind of a misunderstood problem by the uninitiated. I say I have a lot of experience with it, and it's not because I ever really had a problem with it myself. I've never had a problem with VR sickness, but my wife, on the other hand, was deathly ill to it. Like, she was so sensitive to VR sickness. When I first got my PSVR, it didn't matter what we were playing. It could be like a stationary wave shooter. 5 minutes in, she was vomiting. Okay. But she recognized how awesome it was. So she wasn't deterred by that. And I can tell you from experience that all you have to do, if you are sensitive to it, which half or more of the people aren't sensitive to it at all. If you are sensitive to it, all you have to do is play a little bit every day. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit. Just get in the headset for 5 or 10 minutes every day. And, today's 5 minutes will be tomorrow's 10. Tomorrow's 10 minutes will be 15. And eventually your brain just gets used to it and you won't get sick at all from it. My wife, she probably plays more VR than I do now. And at first she couldn't go for just a few minutes. So 2 rules to overcome VR sickness. 1, get in there a little bit every day. 2, never try to push through it. As soon as you start to feel your stomach turn, get out now, because it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. Take a break. Come back. If you follow those 2 rules, you, and I don't care who you are, will overcome your VR sickness.
Nice. Yeah, patience is the key for sure. Des, the former co-host on this channel, was like, I don't know if you want me to be a co-host because I get motion sick in VR. And so it was nice having his perspective and him being able to say, hey, this game made me sick. This game didn't make me sick. And as the time went on and he's played more and more PSVR games, eventually it seemed like he could pretty much play anything. And there would just be a rare exception where he would find himself being like, oh, this is surprising that I don't feel that great. So yeah, I agree. Also, make sure you turn a fan on. I feel like people say chewing ginger to settle your stomach. Absolutely, do it if you got it. But really, turn on a fan, and there's enough air that comes, at least on the PSVR 1, up into the headset. I don't know if that gasket is going to make it more difficult on PSVR 2. But man, the air coming in through the headset, especially I remember playing Farpoint with a fan on and standing on this alien planet with my two-handed weapon in my hand with the aim controller and air coming at me and there's wind blowing in the game. And I was like, this is as immersive as video games can possibly get. Like it was just everything, man. It all came together in this perfect, like I will always remember Farpoint for that. It was the first time I turned the fan on and I was just like, this is fucking incredible. So do it. Turn a fan on. It makes you feel better and it adds to the immersion.
Yeah, and you know, everything I just said kind of applies to last gen VR. I wasn't even taking into consideration the revolutionary venting in the new headset, as well as the headset haptics, which are supposed to help as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely been studies. If you guys watch my How PSVR2 Will Save VR video, there's been studies by like 3 different institutes saying how haptics in the headset reduce motion sickness. So, I mean, we know what Sony's stance on motion sickness is. They're so concerned about comfort settings, blinders, click turning, make sure all that shit is on, and then you have to turn it off manually, right? Because they don't want anyone getting into a game and accidentally getting sick. They're super concerned about that. It's like priority number 1 for Sony. So that's absolutely a huge reason for the haptics. And so if you don't think that they're out there trying to eliminate motion sickness, then I think you're going to be real surprised when if they don't do it, they'll come damn close to doing it, I think. I think we get a couple more tips here, and then we can start the show 30 minutes in. Jamie out with the $5 tip says, I'm just going to point this directly at you. Wes, if you could have any game named Wanderer VR ported to PSVR2, which game named Wanderer VR would you choose?
Probably Here They Lie.
Yeah.
Or maybe Wanderer.
I'm gonna go with Here They Lie. I think that's the game we're looking for. That was the correct answer. Jay Meow loves Wanderer, and for good reason. I absolutely hope that thing gets ported over to PSVR 2 because it is beautiful on PSVR 1, especially if you played it on the Pro or the PS5. Seeing it in its full glory on PSVR 2 would be amazing. Jeppy Con,
yeah, that's one.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry to speak of you. No, I was just going to say that's one of a handful of games that really don't need like a next gen upgrade. Like a straight port with the updated controls would be fine for that one. It's already like a masterpiece of a game.
Yeah, very, very few things in that game would I say need improvement or need just kind of refining. There's a couple moments in that game where you have to teleport, like when you jump down from somewhere, when you jump up to somewhere, when you like go through a window. There's very, very few moments like that, but I those stand out to me for some reason. And I go, oh man, I wish they just allowed me to like click a jump button and jump down there, right? I don't know. Even if there's no jump button in the game, just have a button prompt to show up that says jump down here with this button and let me jump down. It's just those little things, man, that always break the immersion when you just suddenly teleport somewhere else. Let's see. Jeppy Conda with the $5 tip says, it's amazing how Sony made February the longest month of the year now. It really is. Those 22 days, man, it's going to take forever to get through them.
So I hear like if we take there's a certain day in February, if we take our PlayStation VR headset out of the box and see its shadow and put it back in the box, then we have to wait 6 more weeks to get PSVR 2.
I guess we better leave it in the box just in case.
Yeah.
Just play it safe, right? Alkanoth Zuluith with the $2 tip says, hey guys, I'm hoping for a new aim controller / rig. Dude, I'm hoping for a new aim controller too. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think it was an accessory made out of necessity. We were talking in voice chat today over on Discord, and Elvert pointed out that as far as Sony's concerned, the aim controller was the only true PlayStation VR 1 accessory that was made. The only true PSVR 1 controller that was made, I should say. The DualShock came with the PlayStation 4. The light bar was already on it. The Move controllers came from the PS3. The light bulbs were already on it. and they made the aim controller specifically for PSVR. Everything else was already in existence. So it's kind of cool. So it would be too bad if that got left last gen. And then a question directed directly at you, Wes, from Super Nintendo Chalmers with a $2 tip says, Wes, what game is better, Doom 3 or Doom VFR?
VFR. VFR is not everyone's going to agree. This is going to be something that there are two camps with. Both games are awesome. Okay, let me start by saying that both games are awesome. When Doom 3 came out years ago, I liked it, and I do like it, but it didn't feel as much like a classic Doom game to me. I think VFR is a little bit closer to kind of what I view as being Doom. Controller bullcrap aside, Doom VFR seems more like a modern VR game to me than Doom 3, which is awesome and fun. It's a lot more game. It's a lot more versatile as a game. It also seems a lot more dated to me, even the official VR port from Archaeact. So give me VFR, but I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that.
And I think I might be the first person to disagree with that, because as Doom VFR was fine. Like, I thought it was great. I think it definitely suffered because when you're using the Move controllers, which is the most immersive way to play that game, they give you two hands, which is awesome. But then they only give you a 180 flip button. They don't even give you turn buttons. So you have to spin around in your living room, which I actually got used to, and I totally started understanding why they did what they did, because it was really fun to do the thing that you have to do. But it just doesn't make sense for most people, and you had to teleport around everywhere, which I know a lot of people hate. Doom 3 is just an awesome horror-themed fucking straight-up Doom shooter. Like, go around, find the key, unlock a door, and then move on. And with the aim controller and with the horror vibes in VR, it all worked together for me perfectly. I fucking love that game. I have no use for VFR when it comes to choosing between that and Doom 3. VFR is great. I just think 3 is way up. It's way more up my alley, I should say. Right? It just feels like more like a horror game, and I love that. And I think we should start the show. So the title of the video that we're currently in, that these people are currently watching, Wes, is PSVR2 is getting closer. Now, the original title for this video was the hype is rolling in, or PSVR2 hype is something. Because there's a lot of cool things happening in the land of PSVR2, even when it's kind of a slow news day like today, that are getting us excited about PSVR2. The reason I changed it was I found this amazing image of the PSVR2 close up, and I was like, oh my God, it's getting closer. And so I changed the name of the video just to fit the thumbnail. I'm so sorry. It's so dumb. I apologize. I don't know who lets me run the show.
I think it makes sense. Because that's why it's so exciting, is because we're less than a month away now. Like, we talked about it earlier. It almost doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real. And so, but one of the things that does make it feel real, Wes, is when you go over here to the PlayStation Store, and I'm going to scroll down, and like you can actually scroll all the way to the bottom of the store page and click on a PlayStation VR2 logo that brings you to a PlayStation VR2 storefront. And even though it doesn't have all of the games that we know about, or all the games that have been announced, it does have more games than it's had before ever. Looking here, it's like most recent additions. We see What the Bat, Kayak VR Mirage. Kayak VR Mirage has been on the store forever, Wes, but it hasn't been in the PlayStation VR2 section, and there's a couple other games like that still. We got Song in the Smoke here. Strangely enough, you click on this and it brings you to the PlayStation 4 PSVR 1 page. So hopefully they'll be updating this with the rekindled information soon. We got this Chronos Alternate, Townsmen VR, which was only just announced yesterday, and then of course Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord. Do you think this page, as is, Wes, is enough to sell people on PSVR2? If you don't follow channels like ours, if you're not paying attention to VR news in general, if you just stumbled across this page and you were like, oh my goodness, PSVR2 is coming out, and you saw this list of games, is this enough to convince you?
Well, you told me you were going to be looking at this page, and I thought you were going to be looking at the other page. This page, let me go back to it.
What's the other page? I can bring that up too.
I'll show you in just a second, but let me look at what you're asking me about here. So this is just basically the PlayStation Store page that has some games on it. Maybe Ghostbusters fans are certainly going to get excited about that. Hello Neighbor, that's a known quantity. Star Wars, of course. Horizon, we all know how people feel about these and Resident Evil.
Hmm.
At the top of your screen there, Brian, go to hardware and click on PSVR2.
Oh, I know the page you're talking about, which they did update recently, and it's really nice.
They did. And if you go to games, after you click on that, there's a nice page with trailers linked up and a lot more games than what was shown on that PS Store page you just had.
Very nice.
There's Gran Turismo on there. I mean, there's a lot of this would sell me. I would think if I were a flat gamer thinking about it, this page would sell me on
it. So, listen, I don't want to harp on Sony too much because I feel like I do that constantly, right? I love PlayStation VR. I love PlayStation, but man, do I have a lot of complaints about Sony all the fucking time. And so I just don't understand. Like, it's so funny how they have this PlayStation.com website, but there's two parts of it that look almost identical. There's a store and then just the website, and they look almost identical. And so you can easily accidentally find yourself in one or the other and not find what you're looking for. And I do love this, man. I think this is amazing promotional material. I think this is great to see all these games that you can scroll through and look at all of these right here. You can go down further and they give you another whole set available to play in the launch window. This is great. Lots of other games, and you can scroll down even further and see even more games. I mean, there's just games on top of games on top of games.
Trailers everywhere, dude. There's little play signs all over everything, and you can just watch trailers.
It's amazing. This is great, and I kind of don't understand why this is so great, and the store page takes so goddamn long to update.
I swear, I think that the Sony internet presence is divided into two things that's run by two different people. Because even like if you wanted to pre-order the headset, like if you're on the Sony like game store and decide, okay, I want to get PSVR2. You click the little thing to go to PSVR2. There's a little button that says pre-order. You click that button. It prompts you to sign in. All right, so you sign into the games store, right? Then you can click on the pre-order for the headset button. It takes you to a completely different storefront.
Yep.
And you click pre-order there, and it makes you sign into that one. Like you have to sign in twice to order this thing, and click on the pre-order now like 4 times. Like it's kind of weird how everything is segmented and structured.
It's like Sony saying, "Are you sure?" Because we just want you to know what you're in for. The pre-ordering process is going to be very similar to your entire experience during the PlayStation VR2 era. Right. Just so you know what you're in for. This is a cool site, though. This is very cool. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says there's a third page with different set of games. Go to store, then browse and filter and list by PSVR2 support. It's absolutely true. You can select like all games are coming soon, and then you click, and then you can filter all of the games that are coming. So yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand. You said it's probably 2 different people doing this. I think it's one person, and he's just got 2 personalities. One of them loves Sony and is like, let's make something that looks beautiful and that everyone can get their head around. And then we're also, his other personalities like, I fucking hate Sony and want this thing to absolutely fail, and I'm going to make sure it does in any way possible. And he runs the store.
Sounds like my Discord this morning.
Oh,
sorry.
Man.
I have to keep taking shots at these people. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry, everyone. I love you all.
They're going to be like, oh, he's on Without Parole, and now he's being a dick. And this is how Without Parole corrupts everybody. They brainwash. Yeah. Good job.
Brainwashed completely.
Good job. But there's also been some. So other than the PlayStation VR2 store page filling up, giving us lots and lots of, lots of information and hype for the future. We've also got even more outlets going hands-on with this thing, Wes. I think the most recent one was Push Square, whose article this morning or yesterday at 2:30 p.m., according to this article, by Liam Croft. I think that's a pseudonym, and there's no way his name's Liam Croft. He just grew up loving Tomb Raider. It's like, I wish I was. His hands-on PSVR2 represents the next big step for VR. We don't have to read the whole thing, but let's get started on it. He says, for the time, Sony's PSVR headset was competent and functional. Well, he's really... Just in case you didn't know where they stood on PSVR 1, he's telling you right off the bat, competent and functional. It didn't push the boat out compared to other devices, but By making itself at least somewhat affordable, Sony struck gold with the best-selling VR headset to date. The firm is now looking to beat the sales of the device with PSVR2, except it's going about it in a different way. The follow-up is a high-end, expensive, and state-of-the-art. Just ignore the single cable connecting it to a PS5. It feels like a grab for the enthusiast market first and foremost, before widening its reach in later years. The tech, games, and experiences need to back that proposal up, though. A recent hands-on session with PSVR2 has proven to us, at least, that Sony knows what it's doing. And then it goes on to say all sorts of things that you and everyone else has already said. Very interesting way to start the article, though. Definitely give credit where credit was due. PSVR was definitely the best-selling headset until Quest came along and absolutely destroyed them with Quest 2. But I mean, to call this thing expensive, high-end, yes, but to call it expensive when we all know that it's basically the same price as PSVR 1, I think is a little bit of a injustice.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably one of the most widely spread misnomers. And of course, expensive, anything when it comes to do with cost and what's expensive versus not is all relative to the person, right? What's
Right.
expensive for me might not be for you. But apparently people who work in the gaming media must not make very much money, because they all say this is expensive, but they fail to recognize that this outspecs any PCVR headset on the market by a mile and is hundreds of dollars less than any of those. And people say, well, you got to buy the console too. Well, yeah, with the PC stuff, you have to have a $2,000 PC. So any way you cut it, this is kind of a bargain, unless you're comparing it to the Quest 2, which we all know is even today heavily subsidized by Meta, Facebook, Oculus, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite the fact that the price going up recently, it's still very heavily subsidized.
Yeah.
The other article I saw recently, now this is a little bit older. This I think goes back a week or two. Is CNN. Now obviously CNN, a big news site. Not sure if they have too much business covering PSVR 2. Don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that they are covering it. But the article is from Michael Andronico from CNN Underscored. I wonder if there's an entertainment division or what the deal is. I have no idea. I don't watch CNN. So I just tried PSVR 2 at CES 2023. Here's what it's like. And then he goes on. He covers it, the rundown, blah, 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 the whole thing. Listen, I don't care about reading this article, Wes, although the pictures are very pretty. We can just run your video footage instead because you're way prettier than this guy.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. But the reason I'm bringing this up, Wes, isn't because let's read this article and let's read that article. I don't give a fuck, man. We're excited. I don't really care what these people have to say. What I care about is that these people are saying anything at all, right? Because I think about the PlayStation VR 1 era. I think about the months leading up to launch, and I remember a lot of people being very quiet about it, and then it coming out, and then Giant Bomb doing a live stream on launch day, and kind of funny, having a nice long I don't know how they handled it, but I think it was just Greg and Colin doing a nice long video review type thing where they didn't even show off gameplay. They just talked about it. And I don't remember a whole lot of other outlets going super in depth, right? Even gaming outlets. They covered it briefly, never talked about it again. Leading up to launch, I don't remember places like CNN talking about PSVR 1. I don't remember places, I don't remember anyone talking about PSVR 1 really. And so my question is my perception correct? Is there more hype surrounding PSVR 2 media-wise than PSVR 1? And then the bigger question is there more hype surrounding PSVR 2 than any headset prior to this ever?
Yes and yes are the answers to those questions. There's definitely way more presence now than there was for PSVR 1, and there should be, right? We're 7 years in. VR should have a bigger place now in the mainstream consciousness. But yeah, this is, I think, marginally speaking, probably the most hyped VR product that's ever been released. And I think a lot of that is thanks to the headway that Meta made with Quest 2. People want VR now. People know what VR is now. People have PlayStations. So yeah, everyone's kind of taking notice now. Now Quest in its day, the release for it had a lot of hype behind it as well. As we heard for years about this prototype headset that doesn't need to plug into anything, and then when it finally came out and Meta pushed it out, that was a pretty big deal. And then Quest 2 a year later with the $300 price tag, that made headlines everywhere. But this is the next step off of that, building off of that success. And yeah, I'd say it's marginally better, marginally more coverage and hype than we've seen. What we've got now versus what we had then. Not only do we have more eyeballs and mouths, talking on this thing, but people weren't calling Quest or Quest 2 the best thing that they've ever tried in VR. It was really cool that you didn't have to have it. It was cool that it was accessible and affordable. But people are trying on PSVR2 and saying, you know what? This is the best VR I've ever tried. With Quest, it was like all this other stuff is awesome, amazing. Everyone can have VR now, maybe at the cost of the quality of the software. Nobody's saying that here. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of well-deserved hype being placed on this, and it's a natural evolution for VR. Quest 3 will probably be even more hyped than PSVR 2 is being hyped right now.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. Mostly because, so frequently, as we've seen even in these articles that we just sort of skimmed right now, the cost of the console always comes into play, right? So you look at the PlayStation 5 and it costs $500. You look at the headset, it costs $550. You're looking over $1,000 just to get in, and that doesn't include any games. Got it, right? And then so when it comes down to it, when you're talking about Quest 2, and we can get this thing for fucking $400, and back just a year ago you get this thing for $300, right? It helped because VR was so considered still a fad or a gimmick or whatever you want to call it, right? It was spoken by the mainstream in a very pejorative way. It was always like, oh, it's good for a VR game, right? Anytime you ever heard somebody who didn't cover VR, that wasn't their beat, anytime they had to cover a VR game, they're like, oh, it's good for a VR game. So I think Quest made a lot of headway in that area, because then suddenly every single kid on the face of the planet had a Quest 2 under the Christmas tree when they woke up on December 25th, right? It was very inexpensive for people to get into it. So it was sort of like, oh, no brainer, I'll just pick this up because it's cheap enough. And even if I don't like it, it's not the biggest investment in the world. Made so much difference for VR, and especially during a time where Sony dropped the ball and just like let any competitor come in and run with it. So very, very impressed to where we are right now, I think, Wes, because I actually think Sony took I think we all agree, Sony took a very long time getting around to PSVR 2. It's kind of, now that we've been through the last couple of years, it's almost like, now that we've been through it, we can sort of see, yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense for Sony to have released it any time before now, because PlayStation 5s were still very, very hard to get until recently. But it was still them. So, it's their products. They can't get their products into the consumer's hands. Somewhere along the line, that's their fault. And so we've been waiting for this thing for such a long time. But yet, the longer they waited, the more the VR market grew. Right, it's almost like Sony was laying dormant and just like waiting to strike, and they did it on their schedule. They didn't give in to any pressure from any developers who had games ready like a year ago. They were just like, no, we're doing this when it's right for us and when it's right for our console. And in the meantime, it gave Quest a huge stranglehold on the market. So I don't know where I was going with any of that, except for. I think Quest helped get this thing into the mainstream. It was Quest. It was because of Quest that people are talking about VR now.
Allow me to lend something to you here, a thought to kind of spur along your excitement, because the more I think about this, the more I get excited. Think about how nuts we talk about what 2023 is going to mean for VR, and normally when we mention that, it's just because we know Sony's getting back in the game. That means a return to high-end VR gaming finally after a few years. But when you think about what this year is going to mean in terms of competition, and this is not even considering what HTC is doing. It's not considering what Pico is going to do. These are viable contenders that are going to step into the market this year. But if you just think about this in terms of what Sony's doing and what Meta's going to do, So Sony's doing their launch right early this year. It's kind of a soft launch. They're kind of marketing it at VR enthusiasts right now. They haven't made a lot of moves to kind of pull everyone else into VR yet. I would expect that to start around Christmas time, right? They're going to want to sell this to people for the holidays next year. But when you think about it, what's Meta going to be doing? They're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to have a new headset out, Quest 3, that's going to have mixed reality capabilities and it's going to cost less, presumably, than what PSVR2 does. So, how does Sony deal with that, right? How do they deal with a competitor that's all in one? It's going to be super lightweight and compact. It's going to have mixed reality capability that PSVR don't have, and it's going to cost less. How is Sony going to deal with that? You know how they're going to deal with that? With big name titles. They're going to bring the big guns out in like October, November this year, at least 2 or 3 of them for people to get really excited about. And again, this is what we've talked about a million times. Competition is just good for all of us. And I feel like this holiday season, we're going to really see that come to fruition.
And you did get me excited.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think a lot of people are wondering, like, where the hell is Alex? Where the hell is this game? Where the hell is that game? Despite the fact that this launch lineup is incredible, the first month of PSVR2 is going to be pretty damn amazing. As far as I'm concerned, one of the best console launches we've ever seen, and it's not even a console. So I'm very happy with what we've seen, but the question is what else is there? What else haven't they shown? Will we be getting a state of play? Are there more games to show before launch? Are there more games to show to give us a roadmap post-launch? So I think you're really onto something. They need to save a few bullets, leave them in the chamber, get ready, because they're going to need to fire them at a certain point. And if they reveal games like Alex now, like I'm just using Alex as an example, as a AAA VR game, right? And if they reveal that now, by the time holiday rolls around, full 9.5 months from now, it's going to feel like old news. So maybe they are going to hold back this year and not show all their cards unless they absolutely have to.
Well, you're going to want to slowly build hype through the year. So they're going to show us some stuff, right? They're going to give us something, and we're going to get more games even before then. But your really big ones, like the ones that are going to make headlines, you got to announce these in early November when they normally do PlayStation 5 showcase. That's when they're going to want to do this sort of thing. Right after Oculus Connect, after Meta makes their announcement, Sony wants to put the trump card on that by announcing whatever big titles they've got in store for holiday this year. And I assure you, there will be at least a couple that they're going to use to sell this thing.
Wes, my final question as far as this segment's concerned is, do you think that this is the beginning of the mainstream caring about VR? Do you think we're going to be seeing IGN and GameSpot and all of the big websites out there covering VR games more frequently, maybe have a dedicated VR team? Is there any chance of that happening? Or do you think we're kind of in the same boat we've been in for the last 5 or 6 years?
Well, I think the beginning is when Quest 2 launched a couple of years ago. And I think we're riding on that train. And I do think the curve is exponential. The further we get along, the faster we grow. Now, there's still a wide gap between where we are right now with 10 to 15 million VR users, active VR users, versus the 100 million gamers out there. And that's just console gamers. There's even more than that on the big picture. We still have a long way to go. But yeah, I think that we're making strides, and we're going to continue to make strides over the next few years.
Well, one way we're going to make strides is at launch of the PSVR 2 with amazing games like Horizon Call of the Mountain, Gran Turismo 7, Resident Evil Village, and of course, the newly announced Townsmen VR. Wes, did you see this trailer for Townsmen VR?
I have seen, I don't know which trailer you're looking at. I have seen trailers for this game before. I have never played this game before, but there's certainly a market for this type of thing. For those of you who are unaware, this is a city builder type game. But the difference between this one and some of the others that you can play in VR right now, this one actually has a feature in it that I've called for in the other ones that's missing. And that is, after you build up your world, after you have thriving populations at your disposal, you can turn them against one another and have them fight.
No way.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm suddenly way more excited.
Yeah.
So I do want to dispel at least one myth that I've heard about this game. People have said that over on Steam, this was in early access for $10. And the fact that we're getting charged $40 on PlayStation VR2 is highway robbery. Now that this game is, I believe, out of early access, out of early access on Steam, it's $40 over there as well. And if you start going through the reviews, you'll see that that when this game was $10 in early access, it was basically a demo. Like, there was very, very little content. And it took this studio, sounds like almost 2 years to really get their act together. And instead of just updating it piece by piece by piece, they just did this massive content drop. And then everybody was like, oh my God, okay, this is absolutely worth it. We've got tons of hours that we can put into this, and it's really fun, and it's great. Over on Steam, it's got amazing reviews. Well, great reviews, not amazing. It's like, very good.
It's about 7 out of 10 everywhere.
Okay.
Which I haven't read into that. There could be some review bombing at play. There typically is. But yeah, it's about 7 out of 10 no matter which platform you go to.
Yeah, mostly positive over here. In the very first review that I see, it says ignore any reviews from before September 2021. They actually said exactly what I said. The developer made a huge mistake by not publishing smaller updates, but that doesn't change because now the content is here and the full campaign is a lot of fun. It's funny. We've certainly had games like this before. I would say the closest we had to this probably on PSVR1 was Dino Frontier, even though this looks like it's way deeper and has way more city building mechanics. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, and I would venture to guess that this one has like an endless mode that you can just keep on building forever, which is something I think we all wanted in Dino Frontier. Do you know if that's true or not?
I have no clue. I have no clue if that's available in this game or not. This game largely went under the radar for me. Like, I noticed it, but this typically isn't my genre of game.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's a good game. And to be honest, whenever VR kind of draws me into a genre that I'm typically not into, I normally have more fun than I think I'm going to have. But I haven't played it. I typically avoid these types of games. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, the other one that comes to mind, I guess, is Tethered, which I played on PSVR1, which I really enjoyed, but after so long, I don't know, it wore out its welcome eventually.
I enjoyed it too, but it was like at that time it didn't matter what I played on my PSVR.
Yes.
Like, I just enjoyed everything, right?
Yeah. I 100% agree. The VR Grid verifies in the chat. He says the full release added a fuck ton of content. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate the input. And I think that's going to bring us to I guess I'd call this a pretty big announcement today. And that came to us from Perp Games over on Twitter, who announced that they will, in fact, here's Twitter, have a PlayStation VR2 showcase with new announcements and a few surprises hosted by... Oh, Wes, I'm hosting this.
So you're hosting something. Let me get this straight, Brian. You're actually going to host a VR-centric showcase that's going to be broadcast primarily on IGN.
Yeah, it's going to be, it'll be aired on IGN and then it'll be re-aired on Without Parole. I'm hosting a PlayStation VR2 event on IGN. So
wow,
something went horribly wrong in the universe for us to be saying these words today, Wes. This is not something I would have ever, a position I would ever expected to find myself in. I love the guys over at Perp. We've been working together for a very long time, as I'm sure you know. The last few big PSVR award shows that we did were sponsored by Perp. They actually paid for the big introductions and animations and the soundtrack and all that stuff to be done so that they could look kind of professional. And obviously Perp Games is the publisher of so many PSVR 1 games. We wouldn't have physical PSVR 1 games if it wasn't for Perp Games. So I think we all owe them a great deal of debt a great deal of gratitude, at least, for helping push PSVR 1 along and getting it out there for everyone who's like me, loves collecting physical games. So it's awesome to see that they're right here at the forefront when it comes to PSVR 2, and they've got some special announcements coming up very soon.
Ooh.
Dude, it's in like 5 days. It's on the 30th. It's like they announced this today, and it's like literally 5 days away.
They promised some surprises, Brian. Are they good surprises? Tell us, Brian. What are they going to tell us, Brian? Tell us now. I know you can't. I had to ask anyway.
I recorded the script like 18 times, so I've got it memorized. They're good surprises.
Nice.
Yeah. So make sure you guys tune in to IGN and show some GameCat love over in the chat over there. It's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, we have to do this. We have to do this. We're so quick to lynch IGN when they mess up their VR coverage.
Yeah.
When they get something right, we need to show up. We need to show out. We need to show them that there's an incentive to doing VR the right way. So let's all show up and support Bryan and support PSVR when the time comes.
And really, as always, you guys can show up and just make fun of me. Like, I feel like that's sort of what we do, right?
It's coming.
Yeah. It's so show up and be like, look at Bryan. Oh, look at the low res camera. Oh, it's like without parole on IGN, right? Oh, bad cut, So, yeah. So come and have fun, man. It's literally like without parole on IGN. So, very, very cool. Man, oh man, what else we got, man? Oh, you know what else? You know what else we got, Wes? It's time for PSVR 20 questions.
Oh, I think it's your turn this week. Am I right?
Oh, it's my turn to host PSVR 20 questions. It's your turn to suffer.
All right, I love suffering.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Guys, if you know how this works by now, I have a game, a PSVR game specifically. I can't wait for PSVR 2 to come out so the very first question will be, is this a PSVR 2 game? Because we'll just incorporate the entire catalog of each headset. But I'm thinking of a PlayStation VR 1 game, and you guys out there are going to help Wes with 20 questions, yes or no, to figure out what game that is. And even worse than only having 20 questions, you only have 6 minutes on the clock. So let me bring up the game so that I have all the information at my disposal. And then I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. This is a step-by-step process. I can't wait till I have a producer one day, Wes, and then this all just happens automatically.
Yeah, that's wonderful, I got to say.
Yeah, I do. Let me borrow Roots sometime. That'd be amazing. All right, here we go. On your mark. Get Des. Go.
Has this game been confirmed for PlayStation VR 2, Bryan?
No.
No, it has
That would
not.
have. That's a good question.
Yeah. Does this game support thumbstick movement, Bryan?
Yes, it does.
Okay, you're laughing. Is it full locomotion?
Yeah, you have full movement, full control of your movement in this game.
Okay. Is this a racing game?
I think that some people would classify it in that category, but that might not be the first category you put it in. That's 4.
I assume so. There's some racing. I assume then that it's a multiplayer game.
Not in the traditional sense, no.
All right, so maybe a leaderboard chaser, maybe some asymmetrical stuff going on here. Interesting. All right, guys, give me some games here. Do you fly in it, Bryan?
No, you don't fly.
You don't fly in it. Okay. So a racing. Oh, okay. Not traditional multiplayer though. I was thinking maybe Sprint Vector for a minute, but that doesn't really fit. Oh, well, maybe. No, you don't fly. I guess Rush VR would technically be flat, wouldn't it, Bryan?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't fuck with you like that.
So it's not Ultra Wings, it's not Eagle Flight, it's not shitty Pirate Flight or RC Airplane. Um, there's not really racing in Windlands, although a lot of people do that. Huh. That's a good thought shape shifter. Is there climbing in this game, Bryan?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so it's not to the top. Mini Motor Racing X, I think, has full blown multiplayer in it, though, doesn't it? I think it does. Battlezone? I don't know enough about Battlezone to really ask questions. Did this game come out within the first 2 years of PlayStation VR?
No. I'm going to double check that, though, as we continue.
So we're thinking about like a midterm during the high point of VR.
Yeah, I was correct. Not the first 2 years, no.
So yeah, so this is like 2018 to 2020 game most likely. Are you in a vehicle of any sort?
No, you're not in a vehicle.
Okay, so it's not. So we need to get rid of all those. It's not really a racing game. So what's a racing game that you're not in a vehicle, people? It can't be a plane, no cars, no planes. It's not a racing game, but has racing in it.
Yeah, not a vehicle, I want to specify.
Not a vehicle.
It might be something.
Are you in a boat, Bryan? Like what else?
I would call a boat a vehicle. I would not do that to you.
Okay. All right. Are you in space?
Not out in space. It definitely has a setting that reminds me of space.
Oh. This is pretty tough. So you're kind of in space. It's kind of a racing game with kind of multiplayer. You kind of have full movement. I'm pretty sure this is a game I haven't played, whatever it is. So you guys are going to have to help me out.
If you haven't played this game, then I apologize, but I don't know how you would have gotten away with not playing this game. I feel like everybody was playing this game when it came out. Oh, that was probably
So I was thinking for a moment that maybe it would be Bout of Blood, but that's like a ship. It's not like a... I think it would have failed within the context of my earlier questions.
100% would have. I just want to let you know that you still have 11 questions and only 1 minute and 20 seconds left.
Is this a weird game, Bryan?
I would classify it as somewhat of a weird game.
Is it on a rail, kind of?
Not a rail. You do have control over where you go.
Well, yeah, I guess not technically on a rail. Shit, man. Is it good?
It really depends on who you ask. Some of us really enjoyed it. Some of us less so.
Is it cheap?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty cheap.
From an indie dev, I would assume. Well, I mean, from a small, like ultra small dev.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the dev, so I can't ask you if it's from that specific one. What's the clock at, Bryan?
We have 30 seconds, Wes.
All right. People in the chat, can you tell me if is there swinging locomotion in this?
No. I wouldn't. No, that's not the form of locomotion. No.
So no Windlands, no Upertograd.
No.
I kind of consider this on a rail, but you do have some movement, so maybe not. Is there a multiplayer component? I'm asking the chat, Bryan, not you. A multiplayer component to Vertigo Home in any way? Because this is what I'm thinking, but I didn't play it enough to remember. I only played it a little bit.
Wes, you're out of time, and it's time to reveal the game.
I don't know.
From Ivanovich Games in 2019.
Oh no!
It's Beat Blaster.
Beat Blaster.
Do you remember
No,
Beat
I didn't
Blaster?
play Beat Blaster. I do remember Beat Blaster. I didn't play it.
You didn't? How did you not play it? I feel like everybody played it. It came out on like everything. Came out on PC and PSVR. It came to Quest 2. How did you not play Beat Blaster?
Well, first of all, I'm not really a rhythm games guy.
Okay.
By that point, I had moved on. I wasn't exclusive PSVR anymore.
Right.
So even a lot of stuff that came out on PSVR, I played on other platforms, and if it wasn't something that I particularly wanted to play, I just didn't play it. And I love Ivanovich games. I do love Ivanovich games. I love Operation Warcade. I
Yeah.
love the Midway games. Like, they do a lot of good stuff. But I wasn't really like, Beat Blaster didn't review all that well. People said it was kind of all right. Other people said it sucked. And I liked Audica, to be quite honest. Like, if I'm going to play a rhythm shooter, I'm going to play Audica.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. This one gave you a lot more. This is interesting. I have I have this trailer from Grumpy Aging Gamer. Why is this his trailer? Like, why isn't this just the trailer? Anyway, that's really strange. Yeah, dude. I mean, first of all, I apologize because I always try to do my due diligence and see if you've played a game before I pick it. This one to me was like ubiquitous as far as like the VR VR YouTubers were concerned. I thought we were all playing this at the same time. It's not on rails. You are able to slide around quite a bit. That's part of it. You're supposed to be collecting these orbs, shooting enemies as you go, shooting patterns on the wall to unlock doors as you go. The multiplayer aspect, which I said there wasn't any, not in the traditional sense, is definitely leaderboards. I was always fighting to beat that guy as Will until Will got really good at it. Boom, just shot through the top, and I'm never going to catch him. I don't. If anyone in the chat thinks this is a deep cut, if you were around, I think in 2019, you probably remember this game. Ivanovich games always get plenty of coverage.
Yeah, no, that's not a deep cut. Like, I'm fully aware of what this game is, even having not played it. And by the way, Brian, there's no way for you to check and see if I've played a game. But I play on so many different platforms, on so many accounts.
Yep.
Like, there's no way for you to know.
Yeah, and I did try to check your trophies on your other account, but your trophies over there are hidden, and so I wasn't able to see. I only have your Lethal Weasel account with with like 10 PSVR games on it or something.
Can I fix that? Can I do that without going onto my console, or do I have to?
I think you have to go on your console. Pretty sure. I don't know.
All right.
But
I'll try to remember to do that for you.
Thanks. Or just give me a printout of every PSVR game you've ever played, and I'll just pick from that list every week.
Yeah, go back to my top 50 submission.
Stupid Donkey in the chat with the $2 tip says, "I guess you sold out." LOL. JK. Congrats. Actually, he wrote JP, not JK, so I'm not sure what JP means. Japan. Congrats. Thanks.
We got people in the chat lamenting that they weren't able to help me here. It's okay. We can't win them all, guys. We typically come out of this victorious. We can lose one every now and then to keep us honest. That's fine.
Oh yeah, keeps us humble is what it does. I lose all the time.
Yeah.
And Stupid Donkey with another $2 says, "Give VR some justice on an IGN. Good luck and kick ass." Dude, I'll do my best.
Wait, I forgot that it was so close. I knew this was coming. I forgot that it was literally days away. Seconds away, Bryan.
Mere minutes away. Just like PSVR2 itself, Wes. And on that note, guys, please do not forget to subscribe to Wes Dillon over at Virtual Strangers. We need as much GameCat love as we possibly can get over there. So please go watch their streams, flood the chat with love instead of hate. God, I love you guys so very much. The link for that's in the description below. Virtual Strangers YouTube channel. Guys, thank you to everybody who helps this channel run. You don't even know how much I appreciate my moderators. They keep me level-headed. They keep my emotional state in check. Sometimes I lean on them maybe harder than I should. For people I don't really see in real life ever, but I love them more than they'll ever know. Also, Jay Meow, who gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice. Guys, top 25 in the UK, top 100 in the US. That's unbelievable. What the fuck have we done? You guys are amazing. You're listening to this podcast en masse. I love it. So go check that out on Spotify and give it a rating too if you want to really help us out. Also, click like on this video. That kind of helps us out too. And subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Wes's channel, subscribe to AJ's channel, subscribe to Miles' channel. You know, it's the one big happy without Parole community. Thanks everybody who hung out today. Also, dude, Sci-Fi GameCat Henry, who puts timestamps into this. So there's so many people who help me on a daily basis, Wes. It's hard to keep track of them all. But thanks everybody who hung out in the chat. Thanks everybody who tried to help Wes with 20 questions. Thanks everybody who's changing their name to GameCat. Thanks to everybody who tips, not just over here, but on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. You keep the channel running. You keep the lights, especially on today. God damn, they're bright. And thank you to everybody who sat back and watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Let's get out of here, Wes.
Let's do it.
Oh my God, Wes, it's so close. It's so close. It's like that camera's, it's like it's looking into my very soul. What can it see? Can it see? Oh no, it can only see darkness.
Nick is in the chat. He's worried that you're going to get over there on IGN and then end up abandoning us like PSVR Crank did.
Oh, okay. I mean, you should always be concerned about that because, and just remind me every day that you need me and that you'll be sad without me and that you don't ever go, Bryan, because my fragile emotional state, my tiny little ego just can't handle it. I'm never fucking going anywhere, man. IGN could offer to pay me 5 times what I make on Without Parole and offer to move me to San Francisco, give me an apartment, which I'm sure they wouldn't fucking do ever. And I still wouldn't take it because I get to do this. This is my dream job. I am not doing this to go work at some game company. I'm not doing this to get my foot in the door at IGN. I'm not doing this for any other reason than because I fucking love doing this. And you guys, I would never leave you guys. I would never abandon you. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do until the day I die. And so I hope you all stick around because I'm going to keep doing it whether you're here or not.
Fast forward 7 days, Bryan comes on here. They offered me a PSVR2 review unit. Sorry, guys, I'm out.
I mean, exceptions have to be made. All right, let's get out of here. Good night, cats. Good night, Wes. I love you all.
I love you.